Welcome back. We got more damning evidence out here of William Hinman and Valerie Sispanik from the SEC saying they're talking about their own personal opinions and quickly pivoting to adopt them as the approach from the SEC itself. Let's go ahead and listen here.
Before I go any further, I should say that the comments I'll make today are my own, not those of the commissioner or any of the other staff members. And in terms of what's going on, we see, and so we kind of tried to get that out there. We also, last summer, spoke a little bit more about how we were looking at some of the more decentralized and seasoned digital assets like Bitcoin and Ether on the Ethereum network. And we made it very clear that at this point we don't see a reason to regulate those as securities or transactions in those instruments as securities at this point. I know we're...
That's interesting. He's saying we just 3 minutes into this talk with Dr. Chris Brummer. Let's keep listening.
Get into more detail on this, but that was another part of our exercise in terms of making it clear to the market how we look at these instruments. And then we have sort of restructured our fintech group with Val again being the head. And one of the things that we're trying to do there.
He's talking about Valerie Sispanik, which was a senior advisor to the SEC on digital assets and blockchain. Let's hear from her now.
In order to keep it, I'm going to have to give the following disclaimer, is that the views I express here today are my own and not necessarily those of the Commission or any Commissioner or any of my colleagues at the Securities and Exchange Commission. There's certainly room for more guidance. Our division director indicated last fall at a speech that that we've been working on guidance, so it's no secret. We have been working on guidance to kind of put in a plain English way how one might go through an analysis to determine if whatever you're doing is offering and selling securities. So we've been working hard on that guidance, and hopefully we can be at a point where we feel comfortable giving that out. I do think out of all our tools, rulemaking is very cumbersome, and it's also not as kind of flexible as some of the other tools that you mentioned. So we do put out things like speeches.
Speeches, huh?
Which ones do you think of as securities, and which ones do you think of more in either a commodity basket or some other kind of asset basket?
You know, Andrew, I hate for your viewers to keep going back to this, but it's pretty clear, and the Supreme Court has actually spoken about this many times. If somebody is raising money, selling a token, and the buyer is anticipating profits based on the efforts of that group, the sponsor, the seller, that fits into something that's a security.
Okay, so I'll talk a bit about the funding model. So we will have a fundraiser for 2 months starting February 1st. It will be available at funds.ethereum.org. So the idea is that part of the initial issuance will be 1,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin, or up to 2,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin if you get in early to compensate for the increased risk.
Where is the Bitcoin going to be?
Right. So at the start, the Bitcoin is going to be centrally managed. We will have a transparent accounting system. So the Bitcoin will go towards development. It will go toward heavy security research. It will go toward developing applications, toward working with projects like BitMessage, and toward developing things like incubators. So we will have models, and we will release very detailed documents on how we're going to do that over the next few days.